Alrighty, beautiful people. It is time for a 2026 Dynasty Rookie mock draft. In fact, might have a chance to get into multiple mock drafts tonight. And the guy who is in charge of our landing spots today. All right, normally we find like a different mock draft from CBS or ESPN or PFF or some different website, fan-sided. You know, there's a lot of different sites that create those 3 or 4 round mock drafts, but our very own, he's back in his bag. If you guys remember Sammy Stacks, before Sammy Stacks was a Flock League member, before Sammy Stacks was a content creator himself, he was actually our NFL draft expert, okay? And he has created a 4-round NFL mock draft that we're going to look at today for tonight's landing spots. I'm going to have a lot of fun with y'all. Let me know who I'm hanging out with here in the chat. I see Troy's in the building. Mills says it's almost real rookie draft season. That's right. What's up, Homer, in the building? Jeb says, what's up, Landers? Excited to see this mock. Also interested to hear Zach's thoughts on the Waddle trade, which obviously happened right after it's funny because the video I released today, it was already edited and done, and then the Jaylen Waddle trade happened. I'm like, all right, well, y'all know I'm a big Pat Bryant guy. We'll have to talk about Pat Bryant because obviously this is going to not only impact Miami, but it'll impact Denver as well. And I also think there are certainly, some conclusions you can make from this. One of those conclusions I would say is that the Dolphins are almost certainly going to draft the receiver. They have to. They cannot have Malik Washington as their wide receiver 1. What's up, Jay Will? Sparrow's in the building. What's up, Mighty Boosh? Sammy is in the building. He says, back to my roots. What's up, Prometheus? We've got Logan here. Ivan. Mike in the building. What's up, DB? What's up, Forbes? What's up, Cryptic Rocket in the building? Appreciate y'all hanging out with me, showing some love. Now, one thing I do need to let y'all know before we jump into this mock draft, okay, is that if you want to join me in this Dynasty Rookie mock draft, the first step is to join Discord. All right, once you're in our Discord, and Nightbot should be able to give you a link there to join, under the Land Community tab, you will see a mock drafts tab, okay? And I'm just going to say, link will be here, okay? It will be first come, first serve for you to get into a rookie draft with me. Now, I've already put the landing spots there from Sammy Stacks in the same mock draft, so everybody can access it at any moment should they want to. I'll also put that in the chat. One thing I would say is if you're not if you don't have an account on the Flock site, even a free account at this point, right? You don't have to necessarily sign up and become a member to get into a mock draft with me. Anytime we go live and we do a mock draft, all you have to do is have an account. So I'll put a link in the chat. If you don't have an account yet, create a free one. Sign up with the code LAND for free, and then we'll jump into a mock draft together. You guys, but a couple other things I want to quickly talk about before we jump into that mock draft. Firstly is that on tomorrow night's stream, we are going to be raffling off spots for the Aries League. If you haven't heard just yet, it's not breaking news, but we are doing brand new real Dynasty startup drafts, real Dynasty leagues with real money on the line, hired commissioners to make sure that the league is worth investing your time into, right? The most common thing I hear for the last couple seasons is, Zach, I want leagues that I can be a part of and I can invest my time into and know that they will last. Well, that's what we created here with the Land Leagues. If you want to be a part of it, all you have to do is be an annual Mother Flocker member with the code LAND. Very, very simple way to be a part of a league. And if you are going to join in the next, I guess 24 hours, let me know, and I will fast track you into the Aries League before we actually raffle off the spots tomorrow. But if you're already a Land Annual Mother Flocker member, then definitely sync your Discord. That way you will have access to the Land Leagues tab, which, again, every Monday, a brand new league is available for you to be able to potentially join. Okay. And that actually leads me to today's code word, because we are going to be doing a giveaway, giving away a live team playbook, our tier 1 product. All you have to do to enter is simply like the stream and then type Aries. Aries is our code word today. So again, to win a live team playbook, all you have to do is like the stream and type Aries, and you'll be entered into today's draft. I am going to go ahead and send this link into the Discord for you guys to join me in today's rookie mock draft. If there's enough interest, we can do multiple mock drafts, right? I'm not opposed to doing more than one today. But that is a first come, first serve basis. And while we're waiting on that to fill up, I am going to jump into the landing spots that we're going to be getting today. But actually, just before that, I said I would talk about the Jaylen Waddle trade, and I haven't. So if you don't know, you've been living under a rock probably. Jaylen Waddle was traded for a first round, third round, and fourth round pick. The Broncos got back Waddle and a fourth in 2026. This is fantastic news for brother Bo Nix. Y'all know we have been big Bo Nix guys for a while on this channel, but we love some Bo Nix. This is obviously going to help him as they build out that wide receiver room. I actually feel like Waddle and Sutton complement each other so well. I don't want to ruin a video that comes out on Monday, but I will say I have been someone who has been on the train that Troy Franklin's time in Denver is probably coming to an end, in the sense of like being relevant, being a guy that you really care about. I have felt that way for a long time. If you guys have watched my content, not just because of Jaylen Waddle, but because Pat Bryant's emergence, right? So I really strongly believe this heavily impacts in a negative way both Troy Franklin and Pat Bryant. I would argue it impacts Franklin more than anything. To me, this is a clear indication that Sean Payton did not trust Troy Franklin to kind of be that, that flanker, deep threat, speed guy on their team. Waddle is clearly a huge upgrade over him. I do think Pat Bryant has a chance to play more in the slot than a Troy Franklin does. If you imagine that like Michael Thomas role, never going to be Michael Thomas, Pat Bryant, but I think it impacts him negatively the most. Now, if we were to go and look at my rankings, I did ask myself, okay, is the move to Denver positive for Waddle? Absolutely yes. There's no doubt about it. It's a positive move to Denver for Jaylen Waddle. But then I asked myself, because I had him at wide receiver 28 before this. I have now moved him to wide receiver 26. And I asked myself, can I put him any higher than that? I don't know, guys. I don't think I can put Jaylen Waddle any higher than wide receiver 26, right? With this move to Denver, I love it. But are you going to trade Waddle for one of these names in this top tier? Are you going to trade him for, a Burden, a McConkey, a Dunze, Rice, Brian Thomas? I don't think you're drafting him next to those names. Obviously, on Monday, we'll find out with our next real draft if his ADP is going to drastically change or not. I have him in a couple leagues. I'm certainly excited to see him in Denver. I think he's a great fit there. But I don't think I can move him higher than this. Where would you guys rank Jaylen Waddle, right? Let me ask the question. Where do you rank Waddle now? All right, is he a top... I don't think there's anybody who would say top 20, but I'll put top 20. I'll put top 24. I'll put top 28. And I'll put top 36, all his options. It feels crazy to put the 36 there, but I feel like this is kind of his sweet spot. I think you can make an argument between him and A.J. Brown at this point in their careers. If you like the idea of Waddle being the clear number one in Denver, I love Courtland Sutton, but I think you're probably going to see the majority of the targets funnel through Waddle. I think he will become their alpha. So I don't think I'm going to drastically move Sutton down my rankings, but I would say it does make me less confident in Sutton amongst the other veteran receivers, right? I think I'll probably put him right around like a Chris Godwin. It's weird that Juwan Jennings doesn't have a contract yet, isn't it? But, I look at some of these names, like the veterans like Jacoby Myers, I feel better about than Sutton. I feel better about a Terry McLaurin, a Mike Evans, a Devontae Adams. Those type of veteran names I feel better about than a Courtland Sutton. It's just harder to trust, Sutton now that you've got a guy like Waddle who's just such a dynamic playmaker. But we can also talk about the opposite side of this trade, which is the Miami Dolphins, right? The Dolphins now have significant draft capital in 2026. So not only do they have their own first, which is pick number 11, they also have pick 30 from the Broncos. Think about those two places of the NFL draft, guys, right? And again, we go to the Dolphins side of things. I guess I do understand why you make this deal. At the same time, I am asking the question, if you wanted to sign Malik Willis and you actually believed in him, then how in the world is Malik Willis going to show you anything? Do you know what I mean? Like, how is Malik Willis going to come out there with the roster that you've built around him and show you if he can even be a starter in the NFL? I mean, right now, it's Malik Washington, Jalen Tolbert, and Tutu Atwell competing for wide receiver 1. I mean, Terrace Marshall is there, Taj Washington, Theo Weiss. So, don't love that. There's not a significant receiver at tight end. Really, the only weapon is Devon Achane. You know what I mean? That's really the only weapon in this offense. And all reports, by the way, are that they are not moving on from Devon Achane. They view Achane as a pillar to their franchise moving forward. So I would be absolutely shocked, like truly mind-boggled, if they don't select a receiver at either 11 or 30. And these are two really good pockets for receivers. Think about it, guys. At 11, you're probably looking at maybe the likes. I don't think Tate falls as far, like Carnell Tate, but I think they would love that. But you're definitely in that pocket of your Mekhi Lemon, your Jordan Tyson, those type of names. I mean, I guess you could even say Sadiq, maybe. What this does do is it almost certainly rules out, you know, us being thrilled about Eli Stowers to the Broncos at pick 30. We kept seeing that in every mock draft. But it almost certainly guarantees, in my opinion, and do not take my legal betting advice at all whatsoever, please, when I say this. But in my opinion, I'm probably going to find a website where I can bet money on the Dolphins drafting a receiver round 1. And maybe I'll look like an absolute fool doing it. But at pick 11, I think they're definitely in play for either a Lemon, either a Tyson, one of those names. And, you know, a team like the Dolphins, who have really clearly indicated that they're rebuilding, why would they be, you know, it's not that they like throw away a pick, but if they think Jordan Tyson is like a franchise caliber receiver, they might be a team that's more willing to overlook the injury history to kind of say, okay, let's see what you got, man. You know, we're not looking at being a great team anyway right now. So, and then you look at pick 30, and pick 30 is right there in the range for the Omar Coopers. Well, maybe he goes earlier. We don't know. The KC Concepcions, the Denzel Bostons. Are there other names that I'm kind of missing right now that I'm blanking on? You know, who are the other receivers in that range? You know, I would also say we're hearing Chris Bell movement. I don't really think Chris Bell is going to be drafted in round 1. But my guy, Elijah Sarai, I doubt he goes in round 1. But the point is, one of these two picks, I would be really, really surprised if the Dolphins don't draft a receiver. So, if anything, guys, I mean, a lot of us have been upset because we're like, I don't know where a wide receiver can go where I'm really excited. I mean, pick 11, one of those top 3 receivers, that's now one of my favorite landing spots. I know it's Malik Willis, you know, but still, that's a franchise that I think, you know, we can trust to build around really good wide receivers, right? So I'm definitely excited to kind of see what that looks like. But, you know, you go ahead and you look at the rankings for these Pat Bryants of the world. I had to move him down to 58. I have Pat Bryant more around like 53, right behind Trey Harris. I was really excited about him. I have moved Troy Franklin drastically down my rankings. You know, Malik Washington definitely deserves to be looked at. I haven't really moved him yet. I would probably put Malik Washington at 70. Maybe right ahead of Troy. I'm not like, again, I'm stashing these receivers in Miami, but I'm not anticipating any of them being the number 1 weapon heading into the year. I would just be absolutely shocked if that were to be the case. But you go and you look at a Bo Nix. I don't think I'm going to move him in my rankings too much. He remains in this tier with Dart, Herbert, Purdy, Lawrence for me. But as someone who has a lot of Bo Nix, I'm certainly excited about the addition of a Jaylen Waddle. So I asked the chat, where would you rank Jaylen Waddle right now? And 46% of the chat is saying top 24. Dang. Then let me ask you guys, who are you putting him over? If the majority of the chat is saying, hey, Waddle's got to be top 24 now, then who is falling? Genuine question. Like, guys, before we jump into this rookie draft, who is falling then? I want to hear your thoughts here. Are you putting him ahead of Smith and Brown? Assuming that A.J. Brown gets moved, I'm kind of baking that into my rankings that one of these guys is going to get, well, A.J. is going to get moved. I think Devonta becomes the number 1 there. I really want to hear your thoughts on that, y'all, because I'm I'm struggling to kind of see where the top 24 mindset is coming in. Let me catch up with the chat while I wait for you guys. Mighty Booch says the Waddle move feels like a very much behind the scenes issues. Same decision that let go of coach, dropping the old locker room leaders who weren't with the new program. I could see that. I could also see the Dolphins just saying, hey, we really just want to go out there and tank. You know, we're not a very good team. Cryptic says, it was so painful watching the Broncos try to force Franklin into being a thing. He's clearly not that guy. I agree. Sammy is here saying, this is exactly what happened to me. I was like, this is incredible for Waddle. Then couldn't move him up more than 2 to 3 spots. Yeah. Drake says his ADP will change just due to new scenery, but I don't think I'd swap anyone in the top 20 for him. Devonta and A.J. Brown are debatable. Jeb says Waddle finished top 25, will finish top 15 in 2026. May not always look pretty, but he'll be top 15 barring an injury. Well, that last part, we got to make sure. I mean, this guy's always getting injured, isn't he? Let's see. Okay, so who we're moving him over then? Sparrow says we're moving him over Devonta, A.J. Brown, or Marv. Okay. Well, look, I do have him in this tier with Smith and A.J. Brown, so if you guys want to move him ahead, I'm okay with that. But keep in mind, I am baking in here that I think A.J. Brown gets traded at some point. So maybe if he doesn't, I could get on board if he doesn't get traded, actually. I can kind of see where you guys are coming from. But assuming he gets traded, I think we might want those two guys over him. A lot of people are saying Devonta Smith, Devonta, Marv, put him over Brian Thomas. Okay. Jeb says Marv has to move down until he proves it. All right. Well, look, I mean, clearly the majority of you guys agree top 24. I can only sit him at 26 right now, but he's in that tier for me where you can put him as high as 26 if you'd like to. So we're going to put him right there at 26. It's certainly a positive move. I mean, being the wide receiver 1 in Denver with Sean Payton, with Bo Nix, is certainly a big upgrade over being wide receiver 1 in Miami with Malik Willis. So I would definitely agree with you guys there. Okay, this is the world that we're living in. And again, this world is set up by Sammy Stacks. Sammy, as I'm talking through these landing spots, if there's anything that you want to justify or if there's anything you want to explain, feel free to explain it in the chat. Or drop a voice message in the call chat or whatever, right? But that's the landing spots there. We're going to live in this world, and this is Sammy's world. So if you want to get upset at someone, I'm going to show you exactly who you can get upset at. Okay? So you don't put your arrows towards me, all right? Put your arrows towards Sammy, okay? This is the guy here that you can throw all your hate towards, all right? Sammy, you got a bigger jaw. You're giving yourself a more defined jawline here. All right. Sammy went to the cartoon and said, give me that Captain Chin jawline here. Okay. Fernando Mendoza at the 101. He did put Jeremiah Love to his Titans at pick 4. Here's what I'll say. I have heard a lot of news lately that the Titans are not in on Jeremiah Love at 4. I've heard that his number begins at 5. However, I wouldn't rule out the Titans still. Sammy does have Carnell Tate being the first receiver off the board to the Cleveland Browns. Next offensive player that we get here, no receiver at 11. So let's see what Sammy does. All right. Sadiq to the Ravens. I have thought about this spot a lot recently, especially after they moved on from Isaiah Likely. Clearly not the same player at all. But Mark Andrews doesn't look like the same weapon he once was. Maybe he needs another year removed from his injury. But Sadiq, I think, would be a really good fit with Lamar. And I could envision myself getting very excited about, what a Sadiq-Lamar combo looks like moving forward. You know what I mean? Okay, Mekhi Lemon to the New York Jets. Just want to make sure I didn't miss any other players. Okay, yeah, Mekhi Lemon to the Jets. We all hate this landing spot, but, I was talking to Joel about this today, Joel Verse, one of our commissioners here at Land, and the reality is there's going to be spots that we don't like. There's going to be spots that we see and we're disgusted by. It happens every year. So Mekhi Lemon is one of those spots, and guess who else is one of those spots? Omar Cooper to the Panthers. Almost said the Cleveland Panthers. They're both terrible franchises. So, to the Carolina Panthers, that's disgusting. I hate it. I hate it a lot. I actually would argue I hate the Omar Cooper spot more than the Mekhi Lemon spot. I actually want to go to Club Aqua more than I want to go to, if you know, you know. But Omar Cooper to the Panthers would just make me completely soft. I mean, I cannot think about a rookie year in which this guy goes for 1,109, you know. I mean, we're hoping that we can even trust Teteroa McMillan, you know. And at this point, we have no idea if we can trust even T-Mac and Bryce Young. So, Sammy, what the hell, man? What the hell? Really? You're going to put Omar Cooper, everyone's favorite player? It feels like everyone loves Omar Cooper. You're going to put him to the Panthers? I mean, what a cock block, man. Okay, here at 21, we get the Pittsburgh Steelers going Ty Simpson. We've heard a lot of different opinions on Ty Simpson. Is he worthy of a first-round pick? Is he not? He goes to a landing spot where he can probably sit for a year. You know, let's assume Aaron Rodgers is back, but he could probably sit for a year. And here's what I would say. I am much more excited about a quarterback, a wide receiver, going to the Pittsburgh Steelers under Mike McCarthy than I was for the past 5 years of any player going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike McCarthy offenses are typically very good. So I'd be excited about this. I would. I like that. Jordan Tyson to the Eagles. Now, Sammy is in the chat, so I guess I can ask him, are we assuming in this world that you're creating for us that A.J. Brown has been traded away? Is that what we are assuming when we're making, you know, this pick, putting him as an Eagle? Because that would obviously change the way we view Tyson. If he is just the wide receiver 3 on this team, I would find it difficult to get excited about that pick. Sammy says, Howie's always prepping for the future. I think A.J. Brown is gone by the deadline. Okay. So we'll keep that in mind. Okay, next receiver off the board. So we do get a receiver to Miami. It is KC Concepcion. Now, I like Concepcion. Y'all will know this if you have seen our most recent updated rookie draft. We did release V2, my most updated rankings. I do have Concepcion as my wide receiver 4 as of today. All right, so he is my 7th overall ranked player. However, some reports coming out about questions about his knee, about that knee injury. It's a little concerning that he had a knee injury, a little surgery, a little cleanup, so close to the NFL draft. We'll see if that impacts his ability to go round 1. But I will say, if you are losing an explosive dynamic playmaker in Jaylen Waddle, welcome in KC Concepcion, an explosive dynamic playmaker who might not always catch the ball. Okay, let's jump into round 2, where Denzel Boston is a Raider. Do I like Boston with the Raiders? I do. I like that spot. I think he would complement what they currently have. I like that a lot. Okay, Chris Bell to the Chiefs. We saw a lot of videos of Chris Bell recently. People are saying that he's ahead of schedule. People are saying that he's going to be ready to go by training camp. I don't know, guys. Like, I would be surprised. I wouldn't, if I was a franchise that just drafts Chris Bell, I would not force him to be ready by training camp. He had an ACL tear very, very late into his last year at Louisville, so I'd be cautious, but he does go to the Chiefs. I don't know how I feel about this fit. I don't think Chris Bell's a very good route runner. I don't think he wins outside of really speed right now and just being a big freak athlete. So how would that complement what they have right now? I'm not sure, but he does go at pick 40. We'll have plenty of conversations about him. One of my favorite players in this class, Eli Stowers, goes pick 42. I like that. You've already seen Jawan Johnson be a very relevant tight end in the Saints offense under Kellen Moore. You add Eli Stowers. I would say I'm a little concerned because I think Jawan Johnson's a really good player still. So I would be concerned about like a clear wheels up breakout in year 1. But I like the offense Eli will be a part of there. All right, we get Jeremy Bernard to the Colts. Colts definitely feel like a spot where a wide receiver could go. We do get a running back going top 50. Now, I have projected most of the offseason that we won't get a running back going top 50. However, we're starting to see a lot of analysts, put Jadarian Price pretty high. So 49 to the Vikings, it could be a possibility here. And obviously, if you get a running back going top 50, we all know the historical hit rates. I mean, if you don't know, again, back to the draft guide, we've got our historical hit rates updated here. Round 2 running backs have a very good hit rate historically. That's a great spot for him. Chris Brazzell to the Chargers. Don't love this one, Sammy, just because, we've got Trey Harris there already. I'm not saying they're the same player. Also, really didn't like Elijah Surratt to, the Texans. That is just such a deep receiver room. With Nico, we expecting a year 2 breakout from Jaden Higgins, from Jaylen Noel. They just got rid of Kirk. I don't love adding a Surratt there. I just can't envision a scenario in which he breaks out in that offense, but I understand you couldn't place him in an ideal spot every time. Branch goes to the Rams. Interesting spot for him. Max Clare to the Broncos. I do love me some Max Clare. And then the Seahawks go Jonah Coleman. Now, you look at the Seahawks roster at this very moment in time, and they are clearly lacking at the running back position. In today's video, it's why we specifically told you guys, go stash Emmanuel Wilson and George Halani. However, a lot of NFL draft analysts are anticipating this Seahawks team drafting a running back either with their first pick or their second pick. Now, the first pick is pick 32 in round 1. I don't think there's a running back that will be worthy of a round 1 pick there. However, do they not want to risk not getting their guy, trying to go on a repeat? But here at pick 64, Jonah Coleman goes from the state of Washington and stays in the state of Washington. So he goes to Seattle. And it's a good landing spot, obviously, because Jonah Coleman would have to be pretty bad not to get work straight away in that offense. Okay, into round 3, where Drew Allar is a Cleveland Brown. Antonio Williams, I like this pick a lot. Yes, if the Commanders don't go receiver in round 1, I think he's a great fit to the Commanders. Malachi Fields to the Saints. Michael Trigg to the Dolphins. Like that spot a lot. Skylar Bell to the Falcons. Ted Hurst to the Ravens. Jacoby Lane to the Dolphins. I like that as well. Jacoby Lane's a really nice developmental outside receiver. Bryce Lance to the Patriots is a fun spot. Justin Jolly to the Eagles. I mean, we all thought the Eagles would be a fun landing spot for tight ends. And then, it seems like Dallas Goedert and the Eagles were just playing chicken all offseason, because ultimately Goddard just comes back to the Eagles. It's like, all right, that was boring. Okay, fine. Come back to the Eagles. Deion Burks to the Cardinals. Brennan Thompson to the Giants. Sam Roosh to the Texans. Mike Washington Jr. That's disgusting, Sammy. That's disgusting. What round are we in? Is this round 4 at this point? I think we're in round 4, right? Mike Washington Jr. to the Broncos. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is a doomsday landing spot. Again, don't get mad at me. Get mad at Sammy, okay? This is doomsday. Oh, that's gross. That is disgusting. Okay, I'll get over it. Emmett Johnson to the Cowboys in round number 4. Nick Singleton. Oh no. Nick Singleton to the Panthers in round 4, who's a fantastic player. Don't forget, guys, what this guy did as a freshman is going to be so important to his NFL career. Absolute superstar in the making. Katron Allen to the Packers here in round number 4. Jeff Caldwell to the Steelers. Kevin Coleman to the Bills. CJ Daniels to the Niners. I like that. Damon Claiborne to the Raiders. He would be a great compliment, actually, to Ashton Genty. I really like that fit. You know what? I've been harsh on Sammy. I'll give him his flowers. I think Claiborne is the perfect complement to Ashton Genty. I really think that is perfect. I can envision it right now. Jack Indries to the 49ers. So that is our 4-round mock draft. That is the world that we're living in. And let's go ahead and start up this rookie draft. We'll do a 12-team super flex 0.5 tight end premium rookie mock draft. That is the world we're living in today. So I appreciate y'all being here with me. If you didn't hear earlier, we are doing a giveaway today. I'm giving away one of my live team playbooks. All you have to do to enter is simply like today's stream and type Aries into the chat. That's the 2 steps. Aries is today's code word. Why Aries? Well, Aries is the code word because on tomorrow's stream, we will be raffling off our most recent real Dynasty Land Community League, Dynasty League, for spots in the Aries League. So, as you guys know, unless you've been living under a rock, we do have real live every week, every Monday, Dynasty Leagues that you can be a part of if you're a Land Annual Mother Flocker member. So check that out in the chat. I'll put a link there if you want to get into a league with your boys. And if you decide to become a member in the next 24 hours, I'll fast track you right into that upcoming league, so you get a guaranteed spot. Okay, we get Jordan Love off the board. Jordan Love. Hey, guys. Here we go, Zach. Jordan Love. Hell yeah, guys. Jordan Love is going to play running back. You heard it here first. For the Titans. Hell yeah, baby. Jeremiah Love comes off the board here. Obviously, he is a Tennessee Titan. Jordan Tyson at the 102. And if we're remembering correctly, he went to... Where did Tyson go? Where did Tyson go? He went to the Eagles. I'm a little surprised to see Tyson at the 102 in this world, but he goes to the Eagles. We get Mekhi Lemon at the 103. He went to the Jets. Tate at the 104. I'm surprised Tate was the last receiver selected there. Sadiq at the 105. Mendoza at the 106. So I am on the clock now, and plenty of selections available for me. If this was real life, would I be excited about Omar Cooper to the Panthers? I can't lie and pretend that I would be excited. If this was real life, I know exactly what I would do. If this was a real world scenario, and again, y'all know in the last couple of years, we are so persistent on trusting in hit rates because they're unbiased. That's why they've always been a big part of what we do in our rookie report. But if we look at those hit rates, man, round 2 running backs is a better bet than round 1 quarterback, round 1 wide receiver, round 1 tight end. It is the second best bet you can make in a rookie draft, only behind a round 1 running back. So I'm going to take Jadarian Price there at the 107, who in this world that we're living in was a second round pick to the Minnesota Vikings. It felt like they brought back Aaron Jones out of convenience. I didn't see anything last year to tell me that, Jordan Mason can handle the workload long term. And I like a top 50 pick a little bit better than Jonah Coleman there. To me, I can see a scenario in which Zach Charbonnet comes back towards the end of the year for the Seahawks. So I see a scenario between these two. Number one, Coleman wasn't drafted as high as Price here. And I do think late second does not make me as confident. That's where Harvey went, for example, as the early seconds or mid seconds. But to build on that case, I think there's a scenario where Charbonnet does come back towards the end of the year of Coleman's rookie year, and Charbonnet will have a role if he does. Whereas on the opposite side of things, I could see Jadarian Price really having a stronghold on the Vikings role as the year progresses, right? Aaron Jones isn't going to get better at the age of 32 or something at this point, as he goes on this year. Jordan Mason isn't going to get better than what we've seen in the last couple of years. So I would take him there at the 107, but I agree with J-Mo. Jonah Coleman probably would have been my next pick. Remember, he went to the Seahawks there at pick 64. And honestly, I have to be honest, I'm a little surprised by the Seahawks so far in free agency. I am a little bit surprised. I don't know. It's not that I'm surprised that they let him walk. I thought they would have made more moves than adding Emmanuel Wilson. You know what I mean? I mean, let's look at the running backs that are currently available. Maybe they're a Joe Mixon team. Like, what if Joe Mixon gets cleared and he gets added to the Seahawks? That would probably upset a lot of people. But maybe he's a Mixon team. I mean, does Brian Robinson get a deal there? Najee Harris is still out there on the market. Maybe they're not done. But I totally could see a world in which they draft the running back round 2, maybe even round 3. Maybe they're going to go just a true committee across the board. So, yeah. Okay, so Price and Coleman go off the board. As round 1 has finished, I got to ask you all a question. Who do you think is the best value so far in this draft? What player could you point to and say, yep, that's the best value. No way he should have gone that late. To recap here, Omar Cooper at the 109. Remember, he was a Panther. I got to be honest with you guys. I don't know if it's like me overthinking this situation, but if Omar Cooper went 19 to the Panthers and we had Concepcion at pick 30 to the Dolphins, I think I'd find it hard not to put Concepcion ahead. Just purely thinking about like who has a chance to lead their team in targets. I don't think Omar would. And quite frankly, I'm not sure that Ty Simpson wouldn't be my 109 in this world. Again, we got to think about the Steelers differently. People are really anti-Steelers, and it's because we've been hurt a lot in the past 4 or 5 years with this whole, coaching staff and how boring the Steelers offense has been. But, I mean, a lot of people forget we're not too far removed from the Ben Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Moss era. It's not like players in Pittsburgh can't be really good fantasy assets. You just have to have the right coaching staff. And Mike McCarthy is certainly a coach that we know historically has had great offenses. So, in a Superflex league, not being sold on these two receivers where they land, I think I probably would have gone Ty Simpson there myself. Okay, who's the best value in round 1 as we start round 2? I asked you guys. Let's see. A lot of you guys are saying Mendoza. Mike is saying Price. Mendoza at 6. Let's see. Mighty Booch says, be quiet about my next picks. Thoughts about Casey Concepcion at 103. I think that'd be too high personally. Kenyon says, I don't know, big bro. We're pretty far removed from good Big Ben. Maybe I'm just old. Maybe I'm showing my age here, but I still remember very easily, like it was yesterday, the days of everyone drafting multiple Pittsburgh Steelers in round 1. Your Le'Veon Bells, your Antonio Brown. So maybe it has been a long time removed from this point now. But I appreciate y'all being here as we get Boston off the board at the 201. Chris Bell at the 202. Remember, he went to the Chiefs in round 2. Boston to the Raiders in round 2, pick 35. Boston's an interesting one, man. I don't love his movements, but he just wins so well in those one-on-one scenarios. I've got a pick that I really want to make, so let's see if that player falls to me. So no running backs in round 3 in this one, but we had 2 in round 2. That drop-off, and Sammy might know this, but that drop-off for round 4 running backs is steep. It is steep. Chris Bell off the board. Mighty Booch here. About to make a decision. And it looks like we're going Jacoby Lane, which I really like Jacoby Lane, honestly, as like a prospect that has plenty of potential to develop. In fact, let me try and find Jacoby Lane's prospect profile here. Haven't done a write-up on him just yet, but I think there is some real Cortland Sutton type of ceiling. Love his movement with his size, 6'4", 205. Definitely needs to improve as a route runner, but pretty special at the catch point, and just has a really nice baseline of what he could build around at this point in time. It's true. I guess that was a decade ago, wasn't it? That is pretty crazy. That's a decade ago. Antonio Williams at the 204. Sparrow breaks my heart. I was definitely looking to make that pick, but there is another name I have in mind. The best player in the 2026 draft class, Nicholas Singleton. How is Nick Singleton still available, guys? The best player in the draft class. He's going to be a superstar. You guys should draft him. Please draft him. Elijah Surratt comes off the board. No, this is great. I think, to me, as someone who has been a big advocate of saying, even a year ago, the 26 class is not the greatest class, looking at it right now. Even myself saying that, the more I have kind of dived into this class and really scouted it further, I have been a big advocate to say, hey, while the class isn't great, I think the tight end room is a lot better than people are giving it credit for. So far, through 2.5 rounds, 2 tight ends are off the board. I believe that Max Clare is a much better prospect than people are giving him credit for. He's definitely going to be my next pick. He went at pick 62 to the Denver Broncos. Max Clare's a good player, man. He's a good prospect. He's not going to have the production that's going to wow you and you're going to make your mouth fall and kind of drool all over yourself, if you will. But I think Max Clare is a really good player and an underrated prospect, no doubt about it. There's some real Dallas Goedert there. He's become a much better blocker at Ohio State. His time before Ohio State, he was a great receiving threat. I think he's underrated, man. I really think he's underrated. And putting him round 2 to the Broncos would get me pretty excited. They do not have a tight end that they can really build around at this point in time. Branch goes at the 208. He went to the Rams in round 2. Brazel, I can't remember where Brazel went. Oh, that's right. Chargers in round 2. If Sammy's in the chat, explain the Brazel pick to me, please. I want to understand the Brazel pick. I don't want, and maybe it's just one of those picks where it's like, hey, we don't want it to happen, but it could happen. Because I don't want any other receiver joining the Chargers, okay? Can we just give Ladd, Trey Harris, and Johnston a chance to shine? Can we give Gadsden a chance to shine? Let's just let those guys get their opportunity. You know what I mean? Mighty Boot says Lane played a lot of games with an injury. He was sent out in several games last minute. Good to go. Decoy. Yep, for sure. Mighty Booch, you might not have been here, but there are many streams where some people would know, some people won't. Nick Singleton's kind of becoming a meme to me, okay? So there's been plenty of people in our community who are telling me he's like the RB2 in the class. He's going to be a superstar. And I have very aggressively disagreed with that and brought evidence as to why. So I don't want to turn this into another Nick Singleton stream, but I'm very much not the Nick Singleton guy. Some of you will know the inside joke there. Definitely a big old run of receivers there in round 2, isn't there? Wow. So far, 8 of the first 9 picks are receivers, which is kind of crazy. Sammy says, lots of receivers to LAC smoke right now, AJ Brown included. Don't get it. Man. Yeah, that would be not ideal. I do not want AJ Brown to come to Los Angeles. Can we just let what they have work out? I think they've got a good receiver room already. I mean, I even like Keandre Lambert-Smith. That's like the receiver 4 or 5. But I think they need to build up that offensive line, man. I know they got Biotish. I think they need to build that thing up more than anything else. But I wouldn't be surprised. I've been wrong before. Skylar Bell coming off the board. He goes to the Atlanta Falcons. So the Falcons are adding another receiver. Remember, they lost Mooney, but they added Dotson. And with all due respect to Jahan Dotson, I could absolutely see a scenario in which Skylar Bell is your wide receiver 2 on this team by week 5. Skylar Bell's a really polished player. Really polished player coming in. So I could absolutely see him outproduce Dotson and Zacchaeus in his rookie season. No doubt about it. We also get Ted Hurst, Katron Allen, Mike Washington, and CJ Daniels coming off the board. What do you guys think? You guys want another mock draft here? What do you guys want? You want another mock draft? Should I give you guys another chance to join? Let me know in the chat. Let's see if we want another one. If you don't have an account yet on the Flock site, create one for free. Just use the code LAND at sign up, and we'll make sure. And at that point, you'll have an account. You can join in any of these drafts moving forward. What do y'all think? Should we do one more? Maybe we can make it a 30-second clock. Kind of see how things might change with a new group of people. Le'Veon Moss at the 303. Moss is definitely gaining some steam as of late. I don't think he's a special player. I'll be honest. I think, like, don't take this the wrong way, but I think we in the dynasty space love to be the people to find the next guy that kind of comes out of nowhere. We love to kind of play glass half full. We love to see the positives in a lot of these guys' profile. But I think this year, more than most years, we're seeing a lot of people prop up really average prospects at the running back position. And I think we're seeing that happen because there's just a lack of quality prospects. So a lot of people are trying to, like, you know, show love to some guys that I don't know how worthy they are of love. I'm going to take Damon Claiborne here at the 307. I think he's a perfect fit with the Raiders. That's the wrong spot I was going there. Here we go. With the Raiders, I think they could absolutely use a RB2 like a Damon Claiborne right behind Ashton Genty. He'd be the perfect complement. And to be fair, they really don't have an RB2 right now. Like Dylan Labe. Dylan Labe is another great example of, like, the dynasty community overhyping a name that's really not that good. I remember this time during Dylan Labe's cycle, the amount of people who were, like, hyped about Dylan Labe was insane. Like, oh my gosh, Dylan Labe, look at what he did. Yeah, not a good player, is he? Okay, the draft is concluded. 97% of you guys want another mock draft. Okay, I will oblige. Let's go to another mock draft here. Again, I will send the link in the mock drafts tab. Okay, so if you haven't joined our Discord yet, definitely join our Discord. And then under the land community, you will see the mock drafts tab. I'll send this link here to join another mock draft right there. Let's go ahead and create another mock draft. We'll do a rookie one. We'll put 30 seconds on the clock. And where should I draft from, guys? The first number I see in the chat is the draft number I will draft from. Okay? So one of you has a chance to alter history. Alter history like it matters. So the 6th spot is the first one I saw. Okay, the 6th spot. All right, here we go. Link getting sent in 3, 2, 1. First come, first serve. And while we are waiting for that mock draft to fill up, earlier we talked about how on tomorrow's stream, we are going to raffle off spots for the Aries League. I also explained that if you become a promo code LAND annual Mother Flocker member, you can get fast-tracked into this Aries League. It's a real dynasty league with the LAND community. We'll be drafting on Monday. If you become a new member here, let me know. I'd love to fast-track you. But not only if you become an annual Mother Flocker member, do you get the access to the live LAND leagues, live team playbook, the war room, the hotline, the 6 trade question vouchers, all of that. But you also get access to our Discord. And one of the cool features that we have on the Discord is what we call the call. Now, you guys some of you may be too young for this. Some of you may know what I'm talking about here. But when we used to listen to radio, we would have people call into the shows. And that would be a really fun part of the radio show because you would be able to hear from outside voices. And that's exactly what I designed with the call as a as a Discord unlockable feature for LAN members. So anytime I'm streaming, you can submit a voice message here, anywhere from 10 to 90 seconds, and you can call into the show. And it's basically a way for me to give you like a call-in hotline type of thing, right? So as we start this next mock draft, I want to hear from you guys, and we have 3 submissions so far for today. Again, sync your Discord up to unlock this if you're already a member. But let's hear from Mills here, who's calling into the show.
Hey, Zach. I want you to talk about your opinion on Sam Laporta in a start 2 tight end league, full point premium.
Okay.
And how you would view that in conjunction with a 2027 first round pick. Historically, I hate spending on tight ends, but in this format, it's probably worth it, but I need help getting talked into it. Possibly send Egbuka in a first for Brian Thomas, Sam Laporta in a third.
So what I'm hearing is Egbuka in a first for Sam Laporta, Brian Thomas in a third. I think Sammy would probably accept that. We all love Sammy Stacks, but he's a big Sam Laporta guy. Even if it's a full point premium, I have a hard time going too hard. Did he say start 2 tight end, or did he say start 2 tight end, or say the premium?
Hey, Zach.
Let me listen again.
I want you to talk about your opinion on Sam Laporta in a start 2 tight end league.
Start 2 tight end league. Full point premium. Okay. That does change things. Originally, I only heard, and I'll make my pick here. I'll grab, probably would be Sadiq with the Ravens there. But if it's just a full point premium, I would not do that trade. But with it being a start 2 tight end league, that makes a Laporta very valuable. You know, he says, just curious on your opinion with Laporta in general with Drew. Look, I don't think that Laporta is going to be, you know, a guy that's like consistently finishing top 3 every year. I don't think that's really in his wheelhouse. I do think he's a good player. I do think he is more around like a 12 to 14 point per game player than any sort of like year where you would expect him to get 16, 17, 18. There's not a Trey McBride year out there, in my opinion. There's not a Mark Andrews year out there, in my opinion. But again, the premium that you're playing in, my friend. So let's just take this as an example. So in 2024, the last full healthy year that Laporta had, he had 60 receptions. He had 174 PPR points. If you play in a full point premium, that would actually be 234, around 235 points. He would have averaged around 15.7 points per game. Sorry, 14.7 points per game. Okay. Now, that's not life-changing. That's a very good starting tight end. But when you factor in that it's a start 2 tight end league, and there's so few tight ends that we can rely on week in, week out, I actually think I'm probably accepting that trade. So, again, thinking through the idea of Egbuka, a first. Hopefully that's a late first. If it's an early first, probably not. But if it's a late first, I get back Laporta and Brian Thomas. With it being a start 2 tight end league, I probably would accept it. Now, my overall opinions is I don't think Drew's going to unlock Sam Laporta. I don't think he's going to be really much different than what he is. There's a lot of weapons to feed there. That's not going to change with a new coaching staff, even if Drew's let go, for example. So I think you kind of know what he is at this point. But in the same breath, given how your league looks, I would have a really difficult time not making that move, especially like if you don't have another tight end that you can rely on outside of your number one. So if you're really struggling at tight end 2, you've got a good receiver room, there's a full point premium. And the good thing about Laporta is he's going to really retain value in this type of format for a long time. He's still a young player. You have to start 2 tight ends. That's very unique. So I'm not going to sit here and project Laporta to be some breakout or ever have like an 18 point per game ceiling. But yeah, I think I'd be willing to do that deal. Mill says, yeah, that's what I was leaning towards doing it, but it's so damn tough even in the format. If you're a perceived contender, you're saying that's a late first. I'm open to doing that deal. I don't really want to move Igbokwe, but I understand why you might feel like you have to. Okay. Thanks for the call in, Mills. Let's hear from Sparrow here.
I want to know how you feel about Jaylen Waddle now that he's on the Broncos. Do you still feel similarly, or would you say he's clearly above guys like Devonta Smith right now, Marvin Harrison Jr.,
Yeah.
A.J. Brown if he doesn't get traded, or even Zay Flowers? Or like, where do you think he ranks right now? Do you view him as the clear wide receiver 1, or do you think Cortland Sutton will take too much away from him?
It's a good question. We did break that down earlier, and Sparrow, I know, submitted this before the stream actually began. So we did break down the Waddle trade to begin the stream, but one thing I will clarify very cleanly and precisely here is I absolutely do think that Waddle's going to be the wide receiver 1 there. Sutton is a fine player. He's a little bit of a limited player. He's not a guy that you're going to get a lot of explosive plays from. So I do imagine Jaylen Waddle probably is the target leader here. I think he's the yardage leader as well. Even if you're not getting, 9 targets per game from a Waddle, the per target numbers are going to be pretty good in my opinion. I love the addition from a Bo Nix perspective. I love the addition from Sean Payton perspective and what he can do in that offense. So I would say, to answer your question, I definitely would view him as the number 1 in Denver. But it's not in the sense of like Sutton's going to be dead. I just think you're going to get a lot more excitement from a Jaylen Waddle on a consistent basis. And I think Peyton's probably licking his chops thinking about how he can use him. Okay, appreciate you calling in. Again, love hearing from all of the LAN members here with the call feature. It's one of my favorite things to hear from y'all. All right, let's hear from Khalifa here.
Yo, Zach, what up?
What's up,
let me hear your early predictions for MVP, Rookie of the Year, and Super Bowl for the upcoming season.
Wow, okay.
Peace. Appreciate it.
MVP, Rookie of the Year, and Super Bowl champion. I want to hear the chat, too. I want to hear you guys give me your big 3. MVP, Rookie of the Year, and Super Bowl champion. Wow. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't think anyone really would have anticipated Matthew Stafford being the MVP. I thought he would have had a good year, but him being the MVP, certainly a surprise to me this year. I don't want to go too chalky here, but I also want to be realistic, right? Like, I'm not going to say Jalen Hurts is going to be MVP. I just don't see a scenario in which Jalen Hurts is MVP. I think Drake May's a fun pick, but I think he's going to have a much tougher schedule this season. I absolutely think your Lamars, your Josh Allens, those guys are always going to be in play, assuming that they can stay healthy. Do I see an offensive weapon? I could see a Bijan, a Gibbs pushing the envelope a little bit, but it's just such a quarterback award. You know what I mean? Like, we really don't see offensive players win this award very often. Whether you think that's right or wrong, it's just facts. I'll give you a dark horse. And I think people might hate my dark horse. But I'm going to give you a dark horse. And I'm going to give you a more realistic answer. So, dark horse. And I know this is going to sound crazy. It's going to sound really homerish, okay? But my dark horse is going to be Jayden Daniels. If Jayden Daniels can stay healthy. I mean, don't forget, in his rookie year, we were not... people were having conversations about him in the MVP conversation, okay? Like, it was happening. It was happening, okay? So this is a dark horse candidate. Jayden Daniels. Have they brought in a receiver yet? No, they haven't, okay? But they do have better depth at receiver with De'Ami Brown, Van Jefferson. If Terry McLaurin, he has to stay healthy. He has to stay healthy for this to be a reality. I have been saying this since this move was made, but I believe Chikakonkwo is one of the more underrated additions this entire offseason. Not only that, but Washington's defense is going to be so much better this year. People are not factoring that in. I think Washington has a chance to win like 11, 12 games this year. You know, you bring in a bunch of edge rushers to this team. Your linebacker room was disgusting. You can still add a offensive weapon at pick number 7, right? They're right there for a Lemon, a Tate, a Tyson, whatever they want to do at 7. Maybe Jeremiah Love. You add Rashad White, who's a good pass catcher here. I think he has a dark horse shot at being MVP. Now, more realistically, and this is not going to be fun. People aren't going to like this, but I do think there's another MVP out there for Josh Allen. Again, it's not a fun pick, but I do think there's another MVP out there for Josh Allen. It feels like a good year for him to be in contention. You add DJ Moore, the best receiver that Josh Allen's had outside of like prime, Stephon Diggs, right? This is the best wide receiver he's played with outside of prime Stephon Diggs. The numbers that he has put up without an elite receiver is ridiculous on its own right. So I do think Josh Allen has a legitimate chance. I think there's one more MVP out there for him. Okay, the other question was Rookie of the Year. Let's have a look at our options. Let's take this very seriously. Rookie of the Year. It is another one of those awards that if there is a good quarterback, is typically quarterback focused. It's hard not to say Mendoza. At the same time, Mendoza is going to be in a tough situation over there in Las Vegas. I think the obvious answer is Jeremiah Love. So Jeremiah Love seems like the obvious choice to me. I would say more of a dark horse, and it's not really like a dark horse. It's just if there's anyone outside of Love and Mendoza who's going to do it, I will put Carnell Tate. I think Tate is really ready to contribute day one. I really do. If he goes to the right system, for example, Tate to Washington, I could see Tate getting 10 touchdowns as a rookie, so I would say in order of most likely, Jeremiah Love, Mendoza, and Tate is how I would play out that Rookie of the Year question. And then the other question is Super Bowl champion. Super Bowl champion. It's funny because if you were to ask this question last year, you would have said, Zach, who's going to win the Super Bowl? Not a chance I would have told you the Seahawks. Not a chance. So this year I'm going to say the Dolphins. No, I'm kidding. But Super Bowl champion. Let me give you a favorite and a dark horse here. Dark horse, the Jets. No, I'm kidding. Dark horse, the Commanders. No, I'm kidding. I'm joking. Okay. I don't think there's a world where the Seahawks repeat. Let me just be clear on that. Like the chances of any team repeating are very low. The chance of the Seahawks repeating, no, I don't think it happens. I really don't. There is a team that had one of the best defenses in the NFL last year. They just added an elite weapon. I don't see an NFC North team winning it, to be honest. I think it's a good division. I don't think Caleb gets there in year 3. I like the Lions, but I think they're a worse team than they were this year than they were in the last 2 years. I don't think they're as good of a team as they were in the past. Cincinnati's a fun pick, but I mean, let's be real. That defense has not, what have they done on defense to drastically improve? They've gotten better, but they've also gotten worse because Hendrickson isn't even there. Ravens are an interesting choice, but obviously they've lost almost as much as they've gained. Yeah. Okay. A team that I think has a legitimate chance, and I'm trying to go outside the box. I just think it would be boring if I told you, hey, Bills. The Bills are going to win, or, the Chiefs or the Ravens. Those are teams, Eagles. We all know those teams are going to be in it. But I would say my favorite pick that isn't obvious would be the Denver Broncos. I do think the Denver Broncos were one of the best defenses in the NFL last year. Okay. They've got the coach to do it in Sean Payton. They've got the defense to do it. No doubt about it. You know, you look at, okay, what happened? How did the Seahawks win the Super Bowl? Well, they had one of the best defenses, probably one of the best. I mean, between them and the Texans, one of the best defenses in the entire NFL. And then they had a good offense that had a star in JSN. There's not a JSN level star on the Broncos, but that running back room is really nice now with J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey. Their offensive line is one of the best offensive lines in the entire NFL. And you added Jaylen Waddle, a dynamic, explosive weapon that you've desperately needed. I know they were the 1 seed last year, but you're just lying straight to my face if you actually thought they were going to win the Super Bowl last year. Like, you're just lying straight to my face. Let's be for real, okay? You think they were favorites last year? Go look at all the sports books. They were not favorites, okay? I think the Denver Broncos have a legitimate chance to win the Super Bowl, and I hate that. I don't like to say that. Y'all know my teams are the Chiefs because I lived in Kansas City for a decade, and the Commanders because I was born in Virginia, lived there for a decade. You know, those are my teams, but as much as I don't like the Broncos, I think they have a better team than anyone in the AFC West. Yeah. So outside of the obvious, again, I could say the Bills. Oh, wow. You think Josh Allen's going to win a Super Bowl? Surprising. I could say the Eagles. They've already won a Super Bowl. I could say the Ravens with Lamar Jackson, right? I could say, really, I mean, the Lions don't even feel like a surprise. But a team the Rams don't feel like a surprise. The Chiefs don't feel like a surprise. And it's not even that, I'm not even saying like the Broncos are a bad team, but certainly aren't like top 3 in playoff or Super Bowl champion odds in any sports book right now. I think they would be my pick right now. Thanks for the question, man. Appreciate you calling in. This is fun. I love hearing from y'all. Okay, let's hear one here from, I believe this is Matthew.
What's going on, Koala? Hey, I
What's
got
up?
a real quick question about our favorite former commander, B-Rob. Where do you think he ends up? And I know you just mentioned him when you were looking at the waiver wire for the actual NFL, but I'm very curious because, you know, I was thinking Seahawks, I was thinking Vikings, but where do you think he'll land? Maybe the Packers, you know, because, you know, Marshawn Lloyd's not really a thing because he's going to be in IR by week 4. But also, Bree just let me know that she's at a homicide scene and she's tuning in her earbud listening to you. So That's pretty cool. Take care.
Oh my gosh. Well, Bree, so if you guys don't know, Matthew and Bree, they're awesome couple that support myself here at Land. And she is such a cool person, like one of the coolest jobs. She looks at like homicides and stuff. Let me just say first off, Bree, whoever you think did it. All right, follow your gut. All right, whoever you need to go out and arrest right now, I'm saying you're right. Okay, don't let anyone tell you you're not right there. Okay, I'm sure that's not even the way that world works. I'm just thinking about like people getting arrested through the lens of like shows that I watch. But Bree's a badass. Anyway, Bree, thanks for watching. Matthew, thanks for watching. Yeah, you look at some of these. Mike says it's always the husband. Bree, it's the husband. I don't care if he's crying. I think Joe Mixon could really mess up a backfield here soon. But yes, Brian Robinson is one of those names that's out there that you could see contributing to an NFL team right now. I look across the board and I ask myself, where could Brian Thomas kind of not mess up a backfield, but make things a little bit more confusing? And to be clear, I think I got to be honest with you guys. I don't think an NFL team really cares about Brian Thomas anymore, or Brian Robinson. Why do I say that? If he was someone that the NFL viewed as an important part of a backfield, I just believe he would have had a contract by now. I just believe that, right? I mean, if you're telling me names like Zonovan Knight have been signed, DeMarcado, Jaleel McLaughlin, Wilson Pacheco, Kene Ngongwu, Keaton Mitchell, Chris Rodriguez, if all these guys have gotten contracts already, I don't really see an NFL team viewing him as, like an important piece. Like, I'm not saying he's droppable in dynasty leagues, but he's close to it. He's not a young player. If you guys remember, he had to wait 4 years to get a role at Alabama. But I think he's going to add like a depth piece. Like, I almost view him the way, like, you guys know how like AJ Dillon just signed with the Panthers today? Like, it's almost like to a less, deep extent, it's kind of like, who cares? I could see him going to Cincinnati. And kind of being like the RB2 ahead of Samaje Perine, potentially. I think the Packers is a great shout. That's like an Australian term, by the way, when you say a great shout. I think the Packers are a fine shout here. With them really not having an RB2, Emmanuel Wilson moving on, that could make sense. Marshawn Lloyd not staying healthy. The Colts, I don't know how much the Colts trust DJ Giddens. I want them to trust him. I am a big DJ Giddens guy. So I would like for the Colts not to add a running back there. But all last year, they didn't trust Giddens enough to be, the backup. And they don't really have anyone. So I think the Colts are certainly a team that could add to their running back room. Outside of that, I don't see like the Raiders. The Raiders could certainly make sense because the Raiders don't. I mean, they have Dylan Labe. That's it. So I think those are the teams that could probably make sense for a Brian Robinson, man. Thanks for calling in. Looks like we got one more call in there from Mills. It's only a 5-seconder, but we are going to do this giveaway, y'all. I am going to jump into some team playbooks for today. Currently have 38 entries. So if you want to enter today's giveaway, it's very simple. All you have to do, and we're giving away a live team playbook, by the way, our tier 1 product. All you have to do is simply like today's stream. That's step 1. And step 2 is to type in our code word, which is Aries. Okay, Aries is the code word for today. And why is Aries the code word? Well, because on tomorrow's stream, and by the way, I got to tell y'all something really exciting, but on tomorrow's stream, we're going to be raffling off spots for the next Dynasty League, the next Land Community League, Aries, which drafts on Monday. So I'd love for you guys to be a part of it. If you want to add another Dynasty League, if you want to get involved, all you got to do is become a Land Annual Mother Flocker member to get into a Dynasty League with us. And yeah, we'll love to fast track you. But the reason I said I had something exciting to talk about, on last week's stream, we talked about startup drafts and how we've never really done a startup draft. Or sorry, an auction draft. We talked about auction drafts. And I've talked about how a lot of people are hyping up auction drafts recently. So I'm excited to tell you guys, on tomorrow night's stream, we're going to be doing our first ever auction mock draft. I've never done one before. I've never done one before ever. But people are really starting to like the auction startup drafts, and I just want to see how it goes. In fact, if tomorrow goes well and people really like it, I think we could legitimately think about not the Aries League, but maybe the league after it. We might be able to do a startup auction real draft league, And the way an auction draft works is instead of it being, like a snake draft when you're doing the startup, you basically bid on every player. So you have like a certain amount of money, and then you can bid on players as they come up. So, I imagine like a Josh Allen, for example, would probably be the player that costs the most, but you have to really figure out how to spend your allowance that you're given. It sounds like it's going to be a long stream, so I got to be honest, I don't know how long I'm going to pay attention to it. Maybe I'll do the first 4 rounds of an auction, and then we'll get into some playbooks tomorrow, but I'd love for you guys to come join me. If you've never done an auction before, guess what? Neither have I. I definitely want to see how it plays out. And yeah, again, if it goes well, then maybe the next league, if there's enough interest, we can do an auction format. Maybe if you guys are interested enough, we can do an auction format. So definitely check that out tomorrow and join us. Okay, last little call in here from Mills. Let's hear what he had to say.
The other question March Madness season. Who do you got winning it all, Zach?
Okay, March Madness. If you guys don't know, I am a Virginia Cavaliers fan. I was born in Virginia, which is why I was a Commanders fan as well. But I actually submitted my bracket on ESPN. And I do have the Virginia Cavaliers winning. Does that mean I know anything about March Madness? No. I've watched one college basketball game this entire year, and it was the Duke versus Virginia ACC championship game. So don't take what I have to say seriously, because I don't know anything. I don't know a damn thing, okay? But we're playing Wright State, and I swear if we don't beat Wright State, I'm gonna lose my ish. Okay, let's do this giveaway, y'all. Let's do this giveaway. 41 entries for tonight's stream. Thanks for hanging out, y'all. And I always love hanging out with y'all. Thanks for hanging out with me. Let's spin the wheel. Okay, so to win a live team playbook, it is going to Chasing Breakers. Oh my gosh. Chasing Breakers wins a live team playbook. Congratulations, brother. You know, yesterday, or on the other stream, we had someone say it with confidence. They said it with their chest. They said, "This is my stream." No one did that today. No one did that today. So you guys got to speak it into life. But Chasing Breakers, DM me on Discord, my friend, and I will hook you up with that live team playbook. Thanks for joining. Y'all know these giveaways. Any one of you guys can win at any single moment. All right. Let's go ahead and let's get into some of these trade questions that you guys have here. And then we will also jump into some team playbooks. So if you want to get into tonight's stream to get a customized review of your Dynasty team, then let's go ahead and let's tell you how to do that. If you want a live team playbook, customized review of your Dynasty team, you want that done tonight, I can do that tonight for you. All you have to do is use a promo code LAND, become an annual Mother Flocker member. That will give you a voucher that you can use through the Flock store. Now, of course, if you're already a member of a different promo code and you still want a team review, you can go to the a la carte store. We've got 3 options for you on the a la carte store. The live team playbook by default, the priority pass, which skips the queue, and the pro pass, which doubles your playbook. So if you want to get into tonight's queue, you can check out the link in the pinned comment there in the chat. You can also ask a trade question if you'd like as well. Let's jump into these trade questions before we get into the team reviews. Dego, what's up, Dego? It's a Dynasty 1 quarterback, 12 team, start 8. And he's asking if he should send away Jaylen Waddle for a 1st and 27 and Michael Pittman. So I got to be honest. I would have a really... I love Jaylen Waddle. I love the landing spot in Denver. But I would have a really difficult time not accepting a trade like this. You know, like if you're able to get a 1st and Pittman for Waddle, this is not at all me being anti Jaylen Waddle at all whatsoever. But if you're able to do that, then I just think it's an absolute no-brainer, man. I think you should definitely take that trade and run. Take that trade and run. Waddle, who knows if he's even able to stay healthy, right? We're all excited about the landing spot, but he's had a lot of injuries in the past. So I would take that pretty easily. I'm not sure people are willing to spend more than a 27 first for Waddle either, you know? So definitely take it. Yeah, man, I would take the trade to go pretty comfortably. I'm not even like a Michael Pittman guy, but I would take the trade. Okay, I just realized that we had a super chat that I missed in the YouTube chat as well. Sorry, Money Mitch. He says Hunter for Okonkwo and Brooks. Oh yeah, is that Travis Hunter or is that Hunter Henry? I'm thinking Hunter Henry. If that's Travis Hunter, I don't love the trade because you're risking a lot there with what Travis Hunter could turn into. I probably would do this trade if you were able to add like a 1st and 2nd round pick swap, or at minimum you get a 2nd as well. I love Okonkwo. I have big expectations for him and Jonathan Brooks, but I think you're giving up on Travis Hunter a little too early there if it's Travis Hunter. Lad or the 106, I would take Lad McConkey there. Another trade here on the site from Unit Affected. It's a Dynasty Superflex 12 team start 10. And he says, rather get rid of Harvey in a tough running back situation. Well, Harvey is not in this trade, though, so I wonder what you mean by that. So he would send away a first, Love, and Henderson. He would get back a second, the 207, Dart, and ETN. Okay, let's think about this logically. I am not a Jordan Love guy, okay? But I don't think that the seconds or the thirds should really matter when you look at a trade like this. Duke. Is that Jordan Love the quarterback or running back? Yeah, that's true. In your league, is Jordan Love playing running back? Sorry, it's a joke from earlier. Great callback from Zook there. Look. I don't think this is worth it, man. I love Dart, but I just don't see where you're winning here. You're getting rid of a first in 27, which people treat like gold. They literally treat a 27 first like it's Bitcoin. I understand you're upgrading from Love to Dart, but the ETN to Henderson thing is at best a lateral move. So would I pay Love in a first to go to Dart? I don't think I personally would. No. If anything, a counter I would offer is to send them a second, Love and Henderson. I'd much rather go that route if you're going to do a deal like this. But don't really like this move currently. I think you're overpaying at this moment in time. Yeah, guys, I didn't add Trey Harris in today's video because I just thought it would be too obvious of a name. You know, with Trey Harris, you know, second round receiver going into his second year, I just didn't imagine he's available in really any dynasty league. So I try to do my best to make it players that might be available in leagues. Obviously, that's not always going to be possible. But to me, I thought Trey Harris was just going to be too rostered everywhere already. Okay, let's get into these team playbooks for today. Let's get to some team reviews. Oh, we got a trade from Mills here that just came through. And Mills, thanks for submitting the trade, brother. And Mills says he's sending away Wilson and Adunze for Justin Jefferson. Wow. It is a 10-team league, but it is a start 11, so depth does matter. Wow, this is a tough one, man. If you made this move in a start 11, you would be starting Daniels and Caleb, which is nice. Bijan and Genty. Then you'd be starting JSN and Jefferson. That makes 6. At tight end, you're starting Bowers, which makes 7. You have to start 4 more names, which would be McMillan, Pickens, Higgins, Thomas. You'd have Fannin on your bench. You'd have Dobbins on your bench. I don't hate the deal. I just think I like Kyler Murray. I think Jefferson's going to be much better. But with Garrett Wilson getting Geno Smith, I think it is an upgrade for what he's had since Aaron Rodgers. I could see Garrett Wilson and Justin Jefferson scoring a similar amount of points this year. So it scares me to make a deal like this where, you know, what could people's perceptions be next year? At the same time, Jefferson could totally recover and, you know, finish as a top 5 guy. What I would love to do to even this out is, can you send your 201 and a 27 second to get their 27 first? Is that available? Is that possible? Is that being too greedy? Can we upgrade somewhere else? For example, can you do Purdy and Bryce Young and you throw in a second in whatever year? You know, can you get an upgrade somewhere else on this roster? I'm pretty 50-50 on this one. So Yeah, that's a toughie. Mike says you could be sitting on a weak winner every week if he doesn't up tier, though. No, that's assuming health, though. I mean, you know, I don't ever look at a dynasty team and assume everybody's going to be healthy just because that very rarely happens. I'm thinking about my dynasty teams like last year as well, right? I mean, I just feel like I had at least 3 to 4 injuries, across my leagues. But those are a couple counters I would try. I'm not fully opposed to it. I think it's about as even as a trade gets. But thanks for letting me look at the trade. Okay. All right, let's jump into these team reviews. Starting off with Crush. What's up, Crush? Appreciate you, man. Let me know if you're hanging out with me here on the stream. But we've got Crush back. He bought a Pro Pass earlier in the week, and now he's back using that second voucher. He's got a Superflex Start 10, which is the middle ground. So you've got either 3 flexes or 3 starting receivers, which is a nice format. I like this format a lot. You're currently ranked first on the Flock site, which is interesting because you're ranked 10th, and 12th at running back, wide receiver, and tight end. So I imagine you have a lot of draft capital. Let's have a look. He says, thoughts on what I should do with my picks in the next 2 years and any players I should target or sell. A lot of draft capital, just like I anticipated. You have the 102, 104. You also have 1, 2, 3, 4 firsts in 2027. So a team like this is probably, building for the future, as it were, if you will. Let me just go ahead and get those picks noted down for our war room, because we're certainly going to have a lot of room to wiggle with the assets that you have. Okay, we've got Daniels and Nix, which is a good 1-2, no quarterback 3. We've got Scattaboo, which obviously there's a lot of confusion on what that running back room will look like if Jeremiah Love is there. Neighbors and Evans, AJ Barner. So this is a team that has a lot of good foundational pieces, but you're certainly far off from, I would say how do I say this? Like, you're not going to win a championship this year. I'm not even sure you'll make the playoffs this year. And that's even if all of your rookies hit. I mean, you're still, I think, one offseason away. I would say at minimum, one offseason away. So we're going to have to keep that in mind when we look at a team like this. Although you got good foundational pieces. Like when I look at your playbook and I'm setting it up here, and I think to myself, who's his untouchables? Well, obviously Jaden Daniels is an untouchable. And I would say like Malik Neighbors. But between those 3, Daniels, Nix, and Neighbors, that's a really good 3 to kind of build around right here, right now. As far as holds on this team, I would probably hold Kyle Monongai at this point. Monongai. I would hold Adonai Mitchell. I want to see what he looks like in this offense with Geno Smith. We'll see if they add a receiver or not. Those are my main holds. As far as drops, you could drop plenty of players. I don't know why Tyrod Taylor needs to be rostered. You could drop Restrepo if you wanted to. Not that you absolutely have to, but you could definitely drop those names at this point. On the waiver wire, I think George Halani should be rostered in every league, at least till after the draft. And I also think Burks, I would roster Treylon Burks over, Restrepo as well. So, yeah, that's how I would view this team. Look, as of today, you've got a couple good pieces, but these teams are hard because you really need rookie picks to hit. So I would say I'd probably put you at a B-. And I think we're definitely going to do a 1-year punt here. There's not a world where you're really competing this year. Although your draft capital is fantastic, I would say. So let's jump into the chalkboard. And of course, as always, if you have any questions, Crush, as we're kind of going through this, feel free to let me know. But let's look at that 102 and that 104. It's really the same range, by the way. And this is super flex, so you're definitely in a good range here. But it's going to be the same range of players at the 102 and the 104. You know, if you wanted to get Mendoza, you could guarantee him at the 102 and then grab whatever receivers available at the 104. But it's one of the big 3 wide receivers. And I don't really think you even need quarterback. I would actually argue that with the way the quarterback class looks next year, I probably would take 2 receivers here and start to build out that room. But, you know, Mendoza is an option as well if you're a big Mendoza guy or you want to kind of guarantee quarterback 3 there. Beyond that point, I can't really tell you what the best player available will be in the late second or in the thirds. At the 201 in a 12-team league, as of today, you're probably looking at a Stowers, Coleman, Claire, Surratt. That's probably the names that are going to be available. Now, when I trade these picks, you can't really tier back from the 104, but if you can go from the 102 back to the 103 or the 105 and get a plus on top, we could definitely explore that. And I don't see a reason to really move that 201 in a trade. I would say if you can move, if you can swap picks for 2027 or 2028 class with those laters, your thirds, your fourths, I'm definitely open to doing that. But let's just quickly see who has the 103 and the 105. See if there's a deal out there for you. I don't think you're a team that should tier up to the 101 either. The 105 has quarterbacks, so maybe he wants to guarantee a receiver for himself. Problem is, there's no young talent here that you are going to be interested in making a move with this guy. Like, it would have to be something which I don't think he's going to want to do, but you would have to include his 27 first here. And then you could give him your 201 that you have. I think the 201's a great piece to kind of throw in deals, by the way. So, yeah. Let me just gather myself here as I go to this next idea. Okay, let's look at the 103. Wait. Yeah, 103. You have the 102 and the 104. So let's find the 103. It's the bottom team here. Yeah, look, another team that doesn't really have a young player that we're excited about. They don't even have any future first-round picks. So I don't see a deal there for you with this guy, honestly. Even for you to move back one spot, there's not a name that makes sense. Only thing I could think of is if you were to add a Cam Ward and then send them back like the 201 as well. But not a ton of flexibility in a trade back. But of course, there are some options there if you're able to, kind of manipulate the situation a little bit. Let's go to the chalkboard and let's look at your team and say, if we're wanting to be the worst team possible this year, how do we accomplish that? Probably not by having Mike Evans on our team. I would argue you could be a team that could move Scattaboo. Ugh, he's just so risky. I don't think Romeo Dobbs should be on your team. Although you could hold until in season. Jacoby Myers. Yeah, those are the main guys that have value that you could probably move. Yeah, let's have a look here. So, Mike Evans, you're going to want to send him to a contender. And I don't think you're going to get a first-round pick, but let me just see if there's any contenders out there that are missing a receiver. Right? I mean, I could imagine like an Alec Pierce in a second for Mike Evans in a third. Let's say a 27 second for, I think something like that is definitely possible, I would say. Although that guy's receiver room is already quite good. This team looks like a contender. They're about to add Jeremiah Love. Could you find your way? I almost wonder if you could do like a Ricky Pearsall and a second. So kind of the same idea, but instead of Pierce, it's Ricky Pearsall. Right. Who is a player that could develop. Certainly his upside is limited now with Evans there. This guy definitely needs help. He has Fannin. Could we send him Mike Evans and the 201 for Harold Fannin? I don't know. Maybe you could get back his... He has so many tight ends. I think this is definitely doable. I don't know if you can get back like a future 27th third or something in that deal, but you know how far you can probably push this. I mean, do you think that you could do this deal and instead of having to send the 201, it's the 211? I think it's worth trying. So that could work. This player really doesn't need much. You could try for a Addison, but there's no picks there to really play around with. Getting to Brian Thomas would be awesome. So another idea there, you go Mike Evans and the 201 for Brian Thomas. I'm skeptical of Brian Thomas, but obviously I would do that deal for sure. Yeah, is there any other young receivers out there that could make sense as like a swap? You could offer the Rashee Rice guy an out, and you take on the risk. So, yeah, kind of same offer there. But again, you could check with both of these deals if the 211 is enough to get it over the line instead. Because obviously if you can save face there, that's great. I would say Romeo Doubs is interchangeable in all deals above, right? So if someone prefers Doubs over Myers or Evans, then that's great. Jacoby Myers, really you're looking for like an early future second if someone wants to go the cheap route. For Scadaboo, I would take any future first at this point, 27 or 28, because you can, that asset is not going to lose value. We don't know about Scadaboo, and Evans is just the main guy that I don't see a future with your current team. Now, you don't need to force that move. It's not like right now you have to go get rid of Mike Evans. I say this all the time on these streams, but keep in mind, Crush, you've only got to field a roster in September. So don't force a trade with any of these names. But I think that's it. Other idea for Scadaboo, one more idea here. Like if you can just move him for a Henderson or a Judkins, I think those are safer assets to build around long term. Again, if the draft happens and they don't get Jeremiah Love, then Scadaboo will end up being a huge value. So there's plenty of risk reward. But let me know if you got any questions, Crush. If there's anything that I didn't cover well enough, I want to make sure you feel good about your review. And again, thanks for getting that Pro Pass, which is why you were able to get this second review for free. I appreciate you big time, my dude. It's not a good team today, but there's so much foundation to the team. I'm imagining after the draft, you could be a team that has Daniels, Nix, Scadaboo, Neighbors, Lemon, Tate. Maybe you add a tight end in that second round, Stowers. And then you've got 4 or 5 first, 4 in 2027. So I think next offseason, you're probably doing a mixture of drafting rookies and trading those picks to compete next year. So I appreciate you, man. Thanks for letting me look at the squad. He says, no, you answered everything. Good to hear. Always love when people are happy with their reviews. Okay, let's jump to MFL, who was the winner of a recent giveaway. Shout out to you, my friend. His team name is Supreme Leader. So that just makes me think of Star Wars. I don't know why, but the only thing I thought of there was Star Wars. Okay, so same format as what we just looked at. There is a 0.5 Titan Premium in this format, though. Your team is ranked second. He says, appreciate the giveaway, Zach. Best wishes to you and your peeps. I also have a Comp 113. Could potentially move the 104, 112, 113 for Amon-Ra St. Brown, but currently trying to get the 101. If you're curious, all trades on how I got stuck here. He sent a link to a document. It looks like I don't have access to that document, but that's okay. Okay. You've got the 104, 112, and you also said you have the 113. So I'm going to consider all of that when we jump into the war room. The 12 and the 13 are going to be obviously, you know, in the same area as far as value goes. Especially the 201 when you think about it. But those are good picks. Those are good picks to have. I'm noticing you don't have any 27 first rounders. That's the first thing that stood out to me. But 12 team, start 10 super flex. You're starting Daniels, Purdy, and Murray's a great quarterback. 3, you've got Jones to cover off Purdy. At running back, it's good, but it's not elite, right? You've got the Breece Hall. You could start Henderson, maybe Dobbins or Tootin. At receiver, you've got strong names up top with Neighbors, T-Mac. You're starting Kittle at tight end. And then you need to flex 3 names. Those 3 names are probably Wilson, McConkey, and then one of those running backs that you didn't start, a McMillan, a Coker, Bryant, Harris, if one of these guys break out. So yeah, still plenty of time there. Drake says, yo, what time to jump back into the stream? Happy to see the review going. Is this you? This is your team then, Drake? Yeah, I don't have access to the link, but that's okay. If there's any important trades that you need me to know, you can just put in the chat here as well. So, I mean, obviously, the first thing we have to note is without your 2027 first, we're going to do everything we can to compete this year, right? There's no reason not to go out there and just try and compete. The only person who's going to benefit from you not being in the playoffs is whoever owns your first round pick. So we have every incentive to go out there and be the best version of ourselves we can this year. Overall team grade as of today. Really like your quarterback room. You've got decent running backs. You are missing some hammers at running back. And let's hope Kittle starts the year healthy. I would give this team overall, I'm trying to include the fact that you don't have future picks, but yeah, I mean, you added Amon-Ra St. Brown to this team. That's a nice addition. We'll look at that later, but I think this is a solid B plus range. You know, this is a good team, certainly ready to go out there and compete. Untouchables would be Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors. Hopefully Neighbors is, you know, that injury has no complications. As far as holds, I think Murray is a strong hold right now. You need a quarterback 3 as your contender if any injuries happens, and he's in a great situation. We're definitely going to hold Jaylen McMillan. Y'all know we love our boy Jaylen. Jake Tonjes is a hold because of Kittle. Maybe you can flex him if there's any issues with Kittle. I still think Pat Bryant is worth holding. He might get a little bit more of that slot role moving forward. As far as players that you can drop, I think at this point, Derek Carr is droppable. Doesn't seem like a team is interested in making a move for him. I think Zacchaeus is droppable, but of course you can hold on to him if you want. Roman Wilson, Sanders, those guys you could move. Imagine your waiver wire is pretty naked. George Halani should be rostered, in my opinion. I'd roster Halani over Chisholm, Wilson, and Zacchaeus, so I do think he is worth mentioning. Again, maybe the Seahawks figure out running back in the draft, but I do think it is worth, stashing him in case they don't figure that out. Let's go to the chalkboard here. The war room, rather. Okay? If you were to stick and pick, you're definitely not a team that needs quarterback in a super flex league. I know it's tied in premium, but I probably would take like one of the big 3 wide receivers, whoever's left. So Tyson, Lemon Tate, that's really one of the guys that you would be adding. At the 112 to the 113, you're most likely going to be in that range of a Stowers, Coleman. Maybe you can add, like, if there's a running back that goes in round 3, Price, Surratt, Johnson, right? But I'm kind of on the same page as you are there. Drake, I'm kind of on the same page in the sense of, like, I would rather sell that pick for a veteran receiver or running back. So I would just say sell for vet flex is what we can maybe call it. Or even, like, if you can get to a superstar, great. But basically someone that improves your overall lineup, gives you better depth at flex. So at the 104, I can tell you what the prices are currently for the going rate for these names. Give me 1 second here. Let's see, because I just did a video on this not too long ago. So I want to quickly reference this. The 104. We're looking at, well, before the Mike Evans move, Egbuka was doable here. I don't know if that's the case anymore. But I think he'd be a great addition to your team. He's a young player. His ceiling can still grow. McConkey's in this range. You already have him. T. Higgins is in this range. He would be a great addition to your team. The dream running back to land there is like a James Cook, Jonathan Taylor. Those names would be great. But also, you mentioned using those other picks in a package to get like a real superstar. So we'll definitely explore what that package could look like. By the way, can you clarify, is that a Monrod deal that you're talking about already available, or is it something that you're just thinking about offering? Like, can you send today the 112, the 104, and the 113 for Amon-Ra St. Brown? Are you telling me that's available today? Or it's just an idea that you are playing around with, right? Is it something that you're considering? 80% chance accept. That's pretty enticing, man, because I don't think once you add another superstar, depth is going to be a big issue. Where are we at? Let me pull your team up here again. So again, in a start 10, let's imagine you had an Amon-Ra St. Brown. So let's say Daniels, Purdy, Brees, Henderson, Neighbors, Amon-Ra, Kittle. Then we have T-Mac, Wilson, and McConkey. So on the bench, you would have a Pearsall, a McMillan, a Dobbins, a Tootin, a Kyler. Don't love your tight end room to go all in like that. But I think that's a pretty fair idea. The only other thing I was wondering is, like, could we use J.K. Dobbins and that 113 to upgrade at running back to give you a little bit more confidence in your running back room? I'm not anti Dobbins at all whatsoever, but like, could that land you into a Travis Etienne? I just feel a little bit better about, you're not going to get a Walker, but like a Javonte Williams would be awesome. I don't think you can land a Saquon, but he is getting really cheap in leagues. like even a CMC to a team that's not contending. If the CMC team is wanting to reload, is that guy a Coker lover? There's a lot of Coke heads out there. So again, not saying all these are possible, but I would try this first because what I would like to do is upgrade running back, and then can I take the 104 and the 112 and upgrade receiver? I'd like to try that, but Drake says, sounds dumb, but almost all trades in the league happen between me and the Amon-Ra owner. Trying to trade someone else for engagement commish problems. Okay. So no one wants to trade with you outside of this one owner? Or there's some weird tension? That's a great trade for you. Most of the people in your league think Dobbins is dust. Okay. Well, there's not much you can do about that then. Does anybody in your league love Bashul Tootin? Is there anyone in your league that's like obsessed with him? Look, there's enough in your running back room. There is enough in your running back room to kind of hold tight. So who owns Amon-Ra St. Brown then? This is the guy that owns Amon-Ra. Well, could we get Josh Jacobs in this deal? I think this deal is almost perfect. And by the way, it's good value. Let me be very clear. Like, that's pretty affordable for Amon-Ra because I'm basically viewing it as a 104 in 2 seconds. That's kind of how I value those later picks. But I wonder if you could grab Jacobs in this trade and send back Dobbins. Like, if this trade is a 80% chance of being accepted, what is this trade? Because that would be perfect. And again, is he a Coker guy? Could you throw in Coker, Trey Harris, Knoll? Is there something we could throw in to kind of push the envelope to make it happen, right? But I like that deal a lot for you. I would honestly accept either of these deals. I just think that your best deal is probably the one that includes Josh Jacobs, but yeah, I mean, outside of that, man, I don't see a world where I'm trading your receivers. I think because you have limited assets right now, I wouldn't focus on improving at tight end because you kind of already have Kittle covered off with Tonjes. I don't mind like a Chigakonkwo acquisition if you can do it. So who has a Conquo? Okay, Chig. Is there no Chigakonkwo? Okay, here he is. Chigakonkwo, yeah, I mean, could you send that guy? You don't have any picks really to play around with, but would he accept like a Trey Harris or a Jalen Coker trade for Chig? I kind of like that, using one of those names. It would interest me. Maybe you don't even have to pay that high of a name. Maybe it's a Pat Bryant. Maybe it's a Davis in a third. You don't even have a third, but play around with it. It sounds like you've got a good relationship with the Amon-Ra owner. I do agree with Greg, like, don't risk losing Amon-Ra for the price, but if you have a good relationship with the owner, like, I know people in my leagues where I can counter and we can have a conversation, and I know people in my leagues who will be upset if I try and counter. So I think you take stock in your relationships with those people before you make these moves. But this accomplishes a goal of you being a better team. Okay, so he's a good friend. But that's really the main stuff I would have for you, man. I think if things go sideways in season, you could always tear down off of Daniels. I don't really want you to do that, but you could always tear down off of Daniels if you need to, plug and play somewhere else. You get a Jared Goff plus a really good running back, or receiver, or tight end. But I think you're pretty set outside of that. Let me know if there's any questions that I didn't answer well enough. I would just agree with this sentiment that I would definitely be looking to trade the pick rather than draft a player with your rookie pick. So let me know if you got any other questions, my friend. As you already have heard, and as you're probably aware, you'll get your team playbook here within the next 3 to 4 business days, and it will be customized to everything that we talked about. Of course, anybody who wants one of these can become a promo code LAND, and you'll Mother Flocker member. All right, and you'll get one as a free voucher after you do. You'll be able to sign up to our leagues. I'll fast track you into our next leagues. Obviously, you get the trade vouchers. You guys know you get the whole ordeal. You get the Discord where we have the call section as well. But yeah, appreciate you, Drake, man. Thanks for letting me look at the squad. And I think it's a good one, man. You're in a good spot. Go win a championship, dude. Go win a championship. That's what it's all about. All right, we've got 2 from Urbanic, and we've got Cryptic Rocket here, who Cryptic Rocket is actually was fast-tracked into the Aries League himself. He signed up this week or last week, I can't remember, but we fast-tracked him into our next league, so shout out to him. Okay, let's go Urbansic. Appreciate you, Drake. Thanks for hanging out. Let's go to Urbansic, and he's got 2 here back to back. Let me know if you're in the chat, my friend. His name is Cam Bam. Thank you, ma'am. That's his team name. Must be a Cam Ward guy. And this is the 3rd team in a row with another Start 10 Superflex. So a lot of y'all are playing in that same format lately. So another middle ground roster here. And you are ranked 9th right now in the Flock Fantasy website, My Teams tool. So I'll consider that. Upcoming draft is pretty critical as I have several early draft picks in 1st and 2nd round. Severely lacking in several areas. What should I focus on? Okay. Let's have a look here. So you've got the 101, which is great, but you don't really have any other picks that I love. I'm just going to be honest with you, man. I'm not obsessed with this class outside of the top 5. There are plenty of names I think could be good, but there are, in my mind, no guarantees outside of the top 5 this year. So while you have a lot of picks, I think it's going to be a lot of dart throws rather than guys that you're absolutely certain are going to turn this thing around. Outside Jeremiah Love at the 101, it's really a crapshoot, honestly, in this draft more than any other draft. And looking at this team, Cam Ward as quarterback 1 and Riley Leonard as quarterback 2 is rough. I don't say this often. I'd love to hear from the chat on this, but I don't say this often. I do think you're definitely a team that could explore a 101 trade. It's not like you couldn't add Jeremiah Love and build around him. That's totally possible. But even if you add Love, you still have so many holes on the roster, right? Your starting lineup right now, if you kept the 101, assuming none of those other picks are going to be that impactful, we don't know. You have Cam Ward, no quarterback 2. So you're starting Jeremiah Love, Judkins. At receiver, Amon-Ra, Ladd, Loveland at tight end. Then you need to flex 4 names because you have no quarterback 2. Those 4 names are Hubbard, Rice, McMillan. I don't know what. Mark Andrews, maybe? But you don't even know if you can rely on Cam Ward. Yeah, not ideal. I think I would look at punting at least 1 year. I just don't see a scenario in which you're actually a true contender at this very moment in time. I'm going to give you draft capital an A. Overall team grade as of today, and I think I might be being generous here. I'm going to say C-. Like, you are very close to that D range. At minimum, we're going to punt at least a year. At least a year we're gonna punt, and I'm probably gonna suggest an Amon-Ra trade. So certainly not an ideal place to start. As far as untouchables, I'm gonna say none, because we probably need to move Amon-Ra. Maybe Colson Loveland is the closest. But I would say Loveland is someone I'm definitely building around, so I'll hold him. I would hold Ward for now. He can maybe improve his value this year. I would hold McMillan, and I would hold Terrence Ferguson as well. The young names that I think you could probably build around. As far as drops, you could drop Tyler Johnson if you want. You could drop Curtis Samuel if you want. Stover, Darnell Washington, Michael Carter, Jared Stidham, Jake Browning. You got a lot of players that you can drop, honestly, man. At waiver wire, it's only George Halani right now. But he's a name that's worth holding on to. Maybe you can sell him in season if they don't draft a running back and see, how high of a pick that you can get for him. Most of the chat is agreeing, though, that definitely need to rebuild or punt at least 1 year, right? So that's the direction that we're gonna move into. And like I said earlier, I'm not sure you're a Jeremiah Love team. You can draft Jeremiah Love and build around him, no doubt. But that's who you're gonna draft if you stick and pick, obviously, right? I mean, these picks, take the best player available. We don't know who the best player available is with these later picks yet. Maybe at the 201 we can suggest a group of names that you could look at, right? And you've heard these names before, I'm sure. But your Stowers, which you could honestly don't think you can't draft a tight end in this class because you have Loveland. You just need to gain as many assets that are valuable as you possibly can at this point. But if you're going to trade the 101, trade for a haul, okay? We'll define what that haul looks like here in a second. The 211 in particular, if you can sell for future seconds, so that's either in 27 or 28. And if you can sell the 401 for, a future third, those are the type of moves that you're probably going to want to make as well. Now, what would a haul look like for the 101? Well, is there a team that can afford to pay what you need for the 101? Because we're going to need a lot of draft capital here. What would you pay for Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs as rookies? That's what people are viewing Jeremiah Love as, right? I'm not saying that's how I view him, but that's how the general consensus does. But we're not going to trade for a Garrett Wilson here and the 107 and a first. That's not going to make much sense. It's got to be young players like a Emeka Egbuka, right? In this world, this guy definitely needs a superstar running back. Why don't we go straight to the chalkboard and let's start cooking up some of these ideas for you. So again, if we're going to move that 101, young players that you can build around, like in Egbuka, that guy has a 106 and a 27 first. I think at minimum, that's what you're expecting to get back. In fact, I would love to add on a Jonathan Brooks or something small as kind of like a throw-in into a deal like this, right? At minimum, that's what you would be looking for. So, that's a great start. I don't even think you're a trade for Justin Jefferson type of team. What do you guys think? Would you trade? Is this enough for you to move off of the 101? Egbuka is probably worth. He's on the edge of like a 2 firsts and a first and a second. I just don't love that 106. You know, I don't love that 106. I just don't know how else we get there. Unless you ask for his 28 first as well. It's going to cost you, though. And then you send him... Chuba Hubbard? Does Chuba Hubbard make that work? I would do that for sure. But again, you can't undersell the 101. Exactly. I think the 105 would have made this perfect, but yeah, we don't have the 105, unfortunately. Appreciate that, Let Go. That's very kind of you, man. Got a great shout out to Kate, our graphics person here. She's fantastic. Appreciate your guys' support. Okay, let's have a look. Let's keep going here. Okay, so a Burden. This team could be great. So I'm thinking like a Burden, 103, 27 first. I like that a lot. Luther Burden. Plus the 103. Plus a 27 first. I think that is a much better deal, in my opinion. That would be great. I mean, you could even try and get Fannin involved. Like, you could try and... Like, if you think you could push it even more, can you add Mark Andrews here and get Fannin? I think in most leagues, the answer is no. I just want to tell you the top end of every deal that's probably possible. Okay, that's a good one. I like that. Okay, Roma Dunze. Roma Dunze, 105 and a 27 first. So same idea as Egbuka, but it's a Dunze. And it's where we all wanted to settle anyway, which is the 105. That's another great idea for you. There's plenty of good partners out there, I would say. Not a name here I want to build around, unfortunately. Same with Team 6. I'm not trading for an older star like Lamb. He's not old, but you guys get what I mean. Like, we're not going to wait for a couple years of Lamb's prime. I don't even think I would do like a Marvin Brian Thomas the first type of deal. You need significant draft capital to make a move like this. This guy doesn't have anything. Neighbors, would I do it straight up for Neighbors? I don't think that's really... No, I don't think I would, just because your team in particular, you probably have more ability to sell for a haul with the 101. I don't even think I would do like a 102. I mean, look, I would do the 102 if you can get their 27 first and their 28 first. So it's just 3 picks. And maybe you can throw back like a veteran like an Andrews, or who else was on your team that we could just kind of like chalk in there? A Chuba Hubbard, something like that. I think those are your main 101 potential deals. The other name that we should move is Amon-Ra. No reason to waste a year of his prime. He's not going to be more expensive at any point moving forward, no matter what he really does. I mean, that's just the nature of Dynasty, right? I mean, we all know that there's peaks for these guys. And it's not that you can't build around Amon-Ra. It's just he's never going to be more valuable than he is today. That's just the way it works in Dynasty. He's 26, he'll be 27. People will start to think about it. But it'll be a lot of those same teams, honestly. Like, I was looking back and I was thinking to myself, like, okay, Egbuka and a first. I don't know if you can get Egbuka, the 106, and a first for Amon-Ra. Do you guys feel like most of these deals are interchangeable with Amon-Ra and the 101? Like in an ideal world, you get 2 of these deals done. One's with Amon-Ra, one's with Igbuka, or one's with the 101. But at the same time, Amon-Ra is probably not going to have as much wiggle room. You know what I mean? Let me look at something quickly. I actually feel like our startups have shown us that this would be the same price, actually. Okay, let's look at ADP for a second. Okay, real draft ADP. Amon-Ra does consistently go ahead of the 101. So, yeah, these should all be possible. So, let's just say this. Amon-Ra St. Brown is interchangeable in all of the deals above. I mean, imagine you get 2 of these done. Okay, let's just play this out in real life, okay? So, you're able to get Burden, the 103, and the 27 first. Whew, for the 101. That's hot. We love that. I would honestly do the Doomsday trade as well. Don't worry about having 2 guys on the same team. But if that's not possible, I think about the Igbuka trade. Imagine losing the 101 in Amon-Ra. It'd be painful, but your team is not good. You need to really reset this thing. You need to make yourself as bad as possible. So next year, you got a great shot at Jeremiah Smith. But then you would have Burden and Igbuka with Ladd and Rice. It's decent room. You're adding the 103, the 106, and 2 27 firsts. That's really setting you up for a win. Other names that you can sell, Andrews and Chuba, but you're not going to get much for them, right? So Mark Andrews, I would say like a mid, future second is probably the best that you're going to get. Chuba Hubbard, probably an early future second is the best you're going to get. But that's the direction I would take that team. And I want to clarify, I don't think Urban Says is in the chat, right? Let me know if you're in the chat or not, but I don't think you are. Now, last thing I'll say here before I go to the next one is I would say in season, Rashee Rice is worth trading. I don't think he's worth trading right now. I think when we're in season and he's likely the number 1 receiver, you could probably get more value for him. So, yeah, worth looking into that as well. But I mean, if you follow that game plan, there's a pretty fun potential, outcome there for you, man. I mean, in my opinion, at least, I think there's a pretty fun potential outcome for you if you follow that game plan. I'm going to go to Cryptic Rocket because I don't think we have Urban Sitch in the chat with us right now anyway. I think Cryptic Rocket is. Let me know if you are. Shout out to you for becoming an annual Mother Flocker member, by the way. Always love when people see value in the memberships that I offer. This is a Superflex Start 10, which is the middle ground. Superflex Start 10. So you've got either 3 starting receivers or 3 flex spots. Team name is Inglourious Bastards. You are ranked, which, by the way, great movie. You're ranked 4th on the Flock site. In a 10-teamer, that's not too bad. Okay. It says casually transition to something more serious / competitive with significantly increased yearly buy-in / prize support starting in 27. What do you mean by support starting in 27? He says, was the runner-up last year, seeking to balance competing this year while setting my team up to be in fine shape for the 27 transition. What is the transition in 2027? Like, what do you mean by that? Let's go to your team here, though. You do have some capital to work around with. You do have your picks in 27. Obviously important to note that. The yearly buy-in is increasing. Okay, so like the format of your league isn't changing though. Like you're not going to a 12 team or, a start 12 or Nothing like that is changing. Is that correct? Just want to make sure before I look at the team, because obviously if there's any big significant changes to the scoring or the format, then that might impact the way I look at a team like yours. Okay, we've got Lawrence and Stroud. Don't love that quarterback room. I'm sure you don't love it either. It's fine. It's okay. It's doable. Then we're starting Bucky and Tootin or Dobbins. We've got Puka, Neighbors. We're starting Andrews. And then we are flexing Garrett Wilson, one of Dobbins or Tootin, and Dobbs. I will say, for this being a 10-team league, not obsessed with this team. I know you're ranked 4th, but honestly, for a 10-team league, I expected a better lineup. And I have to think about the size of your league, right? When I'm giving out team grades here. Obviously, love having Puka, Neighbors, Wilson. That's awesome. But really, outside of your receiver room, I have a lot of question marks around this team. I'd probably put you at like a, just being honest, probably a C flat. C flat seems pretty fair to me. And I think a lot's gonna need to happen for you to be a real contender. Like Tootin and Dobbins are gonna have to really surprise. Stroud's gonna have to surprise. Dobbs gonna have to surprise, and one of Andrews or Johnson's gonna have to be consistent. And that's not even accounting for injuries. Yeah. I think you could make the playoffs. I don't think you could win a championship. And that's assuming no injuries. I'm really trying to rack my head here. I think we're going to label this an in or out because I think you're going to have to make a decision here. And I'm going to help you look at what both of those decisions could look like, right? You got a good amount of draft capital though. That's good to see. Untouchables are Puka Nacua and Malik Neighbors. How did you make the finals last year without Malik Neighbors and Garrett Wilson? What in the world? That's actually insane because Dobbins was injured. Tootin was nothing. Bucky was injured. Stroud was awful. Neighbors was injured. Wilson was injured. How in the world did you make the playoffs? You must have made some trades recently. Okay. I think Emmanuel Wilson is worth holding at this point. Also, Kayshon Boutte. I want to see what he looks like another year there. I like Elijah Arroyo as a hold. At this point, Stroud is worth holding because he really isn't worth that much. If you need to drop players, you can drop Michael Carter. You could also drop... I mean, it's going to feel hard, but if you needed to clear space, Ingram is a name I would be okay to drop. You might not have any waiver wire names that are interesting, though. Oh, what is Malik Willis doing on the waiver wire? What is Jaylen McMillan, Jonathan Brooks? Oh, boy. I like this waiver wire. Okay. Yes, please. We will add Malik Willis. He's the top of my list there. Then I would look at adding a Jonathan Brooks. Then a Jaylen McMillan. A Besh. I mean, I could go on. There's a lot of names here I like. Tank Bigsby is a name I really like. Normally, the best that people have available is like George Halani. Tank Bigsby. Connor's worth holding to sell in season. Naylor got a contract recently, so that's a nice waiver wire there, man. Also, waivers haven't opened yet. Okay. I think the more I think about this, I am going to say a 1-year punt. Yeah, I just think... I don't want to settle for mediocrity and cut the process short. Let's jump into the chalkboard or war room. Help, Zach. Figure out what you're going to say. Okay. At the 104, you're going to get one of those big 3 wide receivers or Mendoza. And you could honestly go for either. You could improve your receiver depth. You could add a quarterback 3. You don't have to, obviously, with the quarterback class coming in 2027. At the 107, you're in range. I would say like a Boston, Concepcion, Cooper, Sadiq. Is there a premium here? There's a small premium, but you're going to grab one of those names. Beyond that, I couldn't tell you who the best player available will be yet, but my rankings will be able to tell you here soon. I do think you could trade back one spot to the 105 because I don't care if you get a receiver or a wide receiver. I said the same thing. A quarterback or a wide receiver. At the 107, there's not really like a trade back here. Although I will say, I'd be willing to trade this for like a future mid 27 first, if that's available. These late picks, I mean, I'd be willing to trade for 27 or 28 picks, right? I've like just in general. Yeah, let's have a look at the 105. And there's a lot of players on the waiver wire that are valuable, my friend, that you can add, and then they're valuable in trades as well. So definitely be on the lookout. Here's a 105. Is there any name that I would like to add here? Yeah, there's not much that's going to make sense, unfortunately, for him to move up one spot. Like, you're not going to do it for Ayuk, Reed, Kittle, Woody Marks. I mean, I don't think this is possible, but the one thing that makes sense to me is like moving off of a Dobbins and seeing if they're hesitant on like a Rice. So again, you move back for a Rice, you send them a Dobbins. I don't think that's possible, but it's the one thing that came to mind. You're not going to get a future first. I don't think it's worth moving back for like a single second. Yeah, so a little bit limited there with, you know, just considering where those picks actually are. But okay, let's jump to the chalkboard here. And I would say, looking at your team, we're probably looking to sell, I'll say in-season sells, and we'll do off-season sells. Okay? Because some of these players you're not going to want to sell just yet. For example, J.K. Dobbins comes to mind if the right offer isn't there. You know, selling him in season. Also, Jacoby Brissett. What you're looking to gain from Brissett is like a mid-future second from some contender. Right? So, I would also say I'm not 100% opposed to selling Bucky Irving. Like, if you're able to get a early to mid 27 first, someone wants to go all in on Bucky. I love Bucky, but I'd be willing to do that for sure. Dobbs, you could probably sell better in season. And you're looking for really like multiple seconds, I think, for a player like that. Hard to say like what his value will be. Jacoby Myers probably is just as valuable now as he will be in season. You're looking for like, again, like multiple seconds, kind of like Romeo Dobbs. J.K. Dobbins in season, probably multiple seconds, but you could also look to sell Dobbins for a younger, more like unproven name. You know, like for example, if you can swap him to a Harvey. And that's more of like an off-season idea. If you can swap him for a Harvey, if you can find your way into a Cam Scatterboo right now with people being freaked out about the draft, like, is it worth taking on that risk for you? Probably. For others, maybe not. Obviously, if you can get any first in any year, then you do it. It's unlikely, but obviously our trade dial, which you'll get once you once I send you the playbook, it'll show you very clearly that all the data suggests running backs are far more valuable in season, and people are willing to kind of spend more money. Mark Andrews and Juwan Johnson, I think you could probably sell those guys now. I think you're really just looking for like a future second for those guys. And you're not going to be able to sell everyone. You know, that it's not always going to be possible to sell every single veteran on your team. And keep in mind, you only start gaining points in September. Why do I say it's not going to be possible to sell every veteran? I go to like the Foxtrot League for me. Like, I have not been able to sell Diggs even last year before the injury. I wasn't able to sell Tyreek before the injury. You know, like, some players just aren't going to be players that you can sell, unfortunately. That's just the reality of the situation. But I can't really advise you to sell Stroud. He's not worth selling right now. And I wouldn't really sell any of those receivers. That'd be the main plan I have. I'd like to add a couple of those veterans. You know, I'm imagining you adding, let's say, a Carnell Tate, a Sadiq to this team. Then we're looking at, you know, hopefully gaining some future capital in 27 or 28, looking a little bit better heading into next offseason with the flexibility that we might have. But you're probably going to be a seller before the deadline in your league as well. But Cryptic, let me know if you got any questions, man. Is there anything that I didn't answer well enough? Any questions that you have that you want me to go over? Now's your time to shine. Even a Malik Willis, if you were to add, like, that's someone that you're instantly looking to sell in season as well. So there really isn't many players on this team that you are going to aggressively have to hold outside of like a Puka Neighbors. Everyone else for the right price is available. But yeah, man, appreciate you letting me look at the team. Again, guys, as I wait to hear if Cryptic's got any other questions, tomorrow night we are raffling off spots for the Aries League. I'll put this form in the chat. Remember, you got to be an annual Mother Flocker member to be eligible. But if you want to get into the next draft, that's how you can do so. You can actually pause your screen here and take a look at all the steps. Very simple. I will be live tomorrow. We're going to do an auction startup draft, mock draft. It might be a mistake. It might be way too long. I don't know. I'm going to have fun doing it, though. But I appreciate y'all big time showing some love. I'm going to do Urbansic, his review on tomorrow's stream. So we'll hold that one for tomorrow. But let me know if you got any final questions there, Mr. Rick. And thanks for letting me look at the team, my dude. Sorry I wasn't like more positive. Like, I think there's definitely, you know, still a ways to go for your team, but it's not, you know, you're not in a terrible situation. You have plenty of pieces that you can sell, right? Cryptic says, it was weird last year. I was actually a deadline seller, but then I rode bench guys to the playoffs and the finals. I feel like that's the best case scenario, right? When you're like selling players, you're getting future assets, and then somehow you also compete at the same time. Those are my favorite like accidental leagues that I'm in. Yeah, appreciate you guys. Thanks for hanging out tonight. I had a lot of fun. I hope y'all had a lot of fun. And DM me if you guys got any questions about the Aries League, about memberships, about whatever the case may be, all things Dynastyland, Fantasyland football. Mike says to block off 5 hours. Oh gosh, what am I getting myself into? Like I said, maybe I'll do like the first 4 rounds or something. I mean, I'm trying to remember here. Can you do an auction draft on Sleeper? I think you can, right? I can do an auction. Wait, how would I even... Okay, yeah, auction here. So let's just simulate this. Say 2003, 2026. So auction super flex. Right, you need every player. What is nomination and phase duration? What's the difference between that? Oh, like people nominate a player and then they bet on a player? Oh gosh, this could take forever, couldn't it? So let's say nomination at 10 seconds. You win a bid, you nominate the next player. Okay. Let me just see hypothetically what this would look like. Let me put myself at the 5 spot. Okay. Okay, so Drake May is nominated, and people have 30 seconds to bid on him. So where's the bid? The current bid is 27. So I offer 35. And how much money do we have? I'll offer 41, 51, 54. I only have $200? Okay, someone take him, please. Wow, $200 is all I have. Okay. I can see why this might take a long time. Oh, and you can just hit pass. Like, I'm good. Okay, yeah, this could take a long time. I feel like that's as short as I can make it, though. Okay, well, that's going to be fun. We'll do that tomorrow. Anyway, guys, I appreciate y'all big time. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Let's do a startup auction draft and have some fun. Later, guys. See ya.